How often do you have to replace non-working components on already assembled electronic PCBs? It's not just a waste of time and money. It's a loss of trust from your customers. Today we will take a closer look at how counterfeit components market works in the United States, how entire companies and their projects suffer because of non-original microcircuits and components. You can get electronic components with perfect markings, production date and packaging, but inside it is an empty case without a crystal. Yes, that happens. The counterfeit microchip market continues to grow every year. Counterfeit parts can be found everywhere, especially on online marketplace where sellers are not directly responsible to the buyer. Where are counterfeit components most commonly found? The higher risk come from unknown resellers. Of particular danger are secondary markets, marketplaces with Chinese customer goods, and social media platforms where components of unknown origin are sold. If you are being offered microchips at half the market price, it could mean refurbished components salvaged after desoldering, cheap clones with surface marking that mimic the original, completely non-functional samples in new packaging. Share in the comments. Have you ever encountered bad and defects components? What was it? Refurbished market chips, substituted lots, manufacturing defects? Your experience may be useful to others. About components marketplaces. One of my subscribers ordered a new batch of microcircuits and received the microcircuits with cases that were cleaned of old solder. The seller was listed as official, but upon checking, it turned out to be just a third-party company using the marketplace. Even major US electronics marketplaces can have third-party sellers. Some websites have begun to implement third-party vendor systems, and this is not always obvious to the buyer. Make sure to check who is actually selling the components. Is it the distributor themselves or a third-party seller? Is there verified information about origin, distributor, manufacturer, production date, serial number? Does the price seem suspicious? If it's too cheap, it's almost always a counterfeit. The most reliable way is to buy directly from a distributor who has official contracts with manufacturers and legal responsibility for the product quality. How to avoid losses? Sometimes there is no choice. The batch is needed urgently and there are no reliable suppliers. What you need to do to avoid sinking the entire project? Don't buy on Chinese trading platforms. There is always a very high risk of buying illiquid components or clones. Try to buy only from authorized distributors such as DGK, Mouser, Arrow, Newark, Future Electronics. It is very difficult to sell counterfeit components on these platforms. Components manufacturers directly supply components and provide at least some legal protection for the buyer. Check the part marking in datasheet. The marking must match the package type, temperature range, and component series exactly. Compare it to the official documentation. This is one of the few ways to tell an original from a clone. What to do if you are working with unreliable suppliers? First, assemble a few PCBs. Never assemble all the PCBs at once. If you solder a large batch of PCBs at once and then it turns out that some components are counterfeit and do not work, then you will have to spend money on new purchase of components from another place. Spend time and money on labor to replace counterfeit components. Perform a visual inspection with microscope and carefully check the components, marking, lead quality, coating, tinning, and the quality of BGA balls. Perform functional test of microchips and other components. Keep records of where each component came from and who the supplier was. This will help if you ever have to report to the customer or go to court. The easiest way to avoid problems with the customers to use components provided by the customers. You won't have to prove anything if some component turns out to be counterfeit. You didn't buy them, but you can earn extra money by replacing counterfeit components. By the way, I do such work. I help manufacturers with repairing non-working PCBs. Counterfeit electronic components is not just a Chinese problem, it's a global problem. Even in the United States, you can accidentally buy counterfeit electronic components. I want to read your stories in the comments. We will all love to read about your experience. Subscribe and like this video. It helps YouTube show videos to more engineers. In description on this video, you can find links to my Instagram, my Telegram group, Patreon. If you want to support my YouTube channel, there are also links to my website with soldering fluxes, diamond flux, and consulting for manufacturing. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.